What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Inside the Five. It's Griff.
It's Will.
Stop.
And happy Super Bowl week. We are finally here. It's the big game. It's the Chiefs. It's the 49ers. And we're covering all things Super Bowl. We've got a whole list of props, different things, just predictions, what we're going to have in the game. And then after the game, we'll come back, see what the tallies look like and who predicted the game the best. We're basically doing all the ins and outs of the game. Every single little bit of this game, we're going to be predicting. I'm real excited to get into it. What do we say, boys?
Let's do it.
All right, we are live from Las Vegas. That's a total lie. But we have a big week ahead of us. We have a big game ahead of us. And we're going to get right into it here. You wake up Super Bowl Sunday, you dream about chicken wings and fries and all the delights. And everything comes down to this game. And we're going to get started right at the very tippy top of this game. And there's nothing more important, especially in this great nation, than the national anthem. The over-under of the national anthem is set at 90.5 seconds. It's actually a boost. The opening line was 83.5. I don't know how the trend shifted in that way, but it went from 83.5 to 90.5, a minute and a half as the over-under. Stav, I'm going to kick it right to you. What do we think?
Well, the country stars, they love to drag out their performances. And Reba McEntire is performing the national anthem, which is kind of a switch up. I mean, it's not really a switch up. I feel like back-to-back years, we've had a country star. Last year, I think the under just hit by literally half a second or something like that. It was controversial, but the line was perfect. And the trend did shift up this way. That's probably because of the practice rounds and whatnot. So she's probably hovering around there. I got the over. I think that this is a big stage. I think that the performers like to drag along what they have to say and what they have to sing, obviously. And there's nothing bigger. Let me take that back. This is the second biggest performance that anyone can have. The first being the halftime show. So I got over. This is too big of a stage to go under.
Yeah, I'm also going the over. Obviously, we have another country singer. They like to kind of add their own spice onto it. So does everybody else that does a national anthem, but they tend to go a little bit longer. I believe I also saw something. I don't remember it verbatim, but I remember seeing, I know last year was I think it was like six, like the one time out of the last 7 times that has gone under. So for that reason alone, you have to take the over there.
Yeah, I saw that stat, and for some reason that automatically made me think under. I don't know why. And I don't get me wrong. I'm actually going to take a side prop bet here on my own personal sports book. Will I cry during the national anthem? Will I shed a tear? Most likely at minus 350. I'm going to take because it will be a beautiful rendition. I mean, you already know. 90 and a half seconds is just a lot. I mean, when it opened at 83 and a half, I saw at one point it was 86 and a half. I was like, okay. But a minute and a half is a long national anthem. Don't you think? I mean, that's really long.
All right. Question, not necessarily off topic. If you were playing in the Super Bowl, if you were a player, would you cry during the national anthem? I absolutely would.
Yeah. Dude, I go to like a Celtics game and there's like a 7th grader singing and I'll shed a tear.
Yeah, nothing beats the national anthem at a big game because that's the only time throughout the entire game that the entire stadium is going to be together, right? Like that's the only time that we're going to have unison as sports fans is during the national anthem. Everyone's going to be rooting for America, standing for the national anthem, hand over heart or hat over heart, whatever it may be. It's the most beautiful thing in all of sports is the national anthem. I would cry. Absolutely. Especially in the Super Bowl. If I was playing in the Super Bowl, I think I would start crying before the national anthem.
I mean, what's it about George Kittle? He throws up before every game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm puking. No doubt about
Well,
it.
before the Super Bowl, dude, I don't even know. Like, imagine playing in the Super Bowl. You know, there's that story of Pat McAfee when I think he was a rookie when the Colts played the Saints, and he was told like the week of the Super Bowl that he was doing the kickoff, like he was doing the opening kick, and I don't think he did it at any time during that year. But imagine just be like, hey, you're now like doing the most important part of the game too, or like the most memorable, because you think of NFL films, you think of the pan out of all the cameras clicking and everything in the crowd for this kickoff. Like, imagine, I can't imagine that. Imagine like messing up the Super Bowl too. That'd be crazy.
Oh, messing up
I
the
know.
Oh, do you think she messes up during the national anthem? Do you think she chokes up? No, she's a vet. She's been doing this.
I'd be closing my eyes.
Done it a few times before.
No, she
I'd close
probably
my
loves the crowd. She probably no. I mean, there's no doubt about this. I think she's ready to go. And I mean, after the beautiful rendition, which we can already assume is going to happen, the next step in this game is the coin toss. And for some people, this is the biggest moment of the game. It's kind of like guessing the first tip. And I see some interesting trends here in our heads or tails debate. And I'll get us started here. I got heads. I'm anti tails never fails. This is something that you have to know about me. I've never picked tails. It's just something about me. Something about heads is, why would you want to be the tail when you could be the head? Tails never fails. Why would I want to be behind when I'm at the very top? I think it's heads. I also think whoever wins the coin toss in this game is going to win this game. Stop.
Wow. Griff, I'm going to the polar opposite end of the spectrum here. I got tails. I mean, literally the polar opposite. Tails never fail. I feel like this is going to sound really stupid. If I'm a captain and I get sent out to call heads or tails, I'm taking tails to open the game. And if we go to overtime, I'm taking heads. That's just my philosophy. I think that overtimes is heads, and that to start the game, it's tails. Tails never fails, except in overtime. I got tails. And Griff, I'm with you. Whoever wins the coin toss is going to win the game.
Right.
I'm on Griff's side here. I'm usually a tails never fails guy, but for some reason, when I opened the doc, saw the list of things that we're picking today, something came up and said it's going to be heads. So I'm going with heads. I'm sticking to my gut. That was the first thing I thought. I'm not going to be like, oh, always tails, always tails. I feel like every time I've always picked it's tails, it's always been heads. So I feel like why not go heads here? And also, I'm on your side with whoever wins the coin toss is going to win the game.
2019 national championship, me and Will took heads. It was technically in the year 2020. We took heads. It's something that you can never forget. And it blossomed a beautiful career of betting that has now turned into this. It's something that, it's just in the back of your mind, Will. That's why you picked heads.
Something about it's tradition.
There's something about it. And I mean, I don't know what the head or the tail is. They always use a different coin. But if there's a U.S. president on a coin, I'm picking heads. You got to respect the nation. Shout out the national anthem, too, obviously. And I just want to say that who's the away team in this? The 49ers. The 49ers are picking, right? Mm-hmm. Perfect.
This coincides with everything we're saying.
Yep.
Absolutely perfect. Let's carry on. So, we're halfway through the day. It's around 6:32. Maybe 6:37, right? On Sunday. I'm bringing us through Sunday here, Stop checking his watch. And it's finally time for the kickoff of the game. All of this, all the anticipation, the full season, all 18 weeks of the regular season have come down to this. And I mean, this is the most obvious lock pick where I'll get us started here. The first kick of the game will not be a touchback. Last year, I took yes.
Yeah, I think we all did.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, I got up.
I'm taking no.
Well, it's crazy. Did you guys see the odds for this? It's like plus 285 that this ends up not being a touchback. Yep. And I think that's really weird. What was it? Last 3 years, it's been a touchback. It's got to change. It's kind of like roulette. Like red is due.
Yeah,
It's
red's
due.
due. This might be a green. No. I mean, just like what's like if he doesn't kick it all the way into the back of the end zone,
Just return
why
it.
not just take it out? It's the Super Bowl.
Yeah, return it. Return the kick.
I was going to say it's kind of similar in the trend. I mean, we're going to get to the Gatorade color in a second, but it's similar in the trend where if you look at the last, like I think like 7 or 8 Super Bowls, there's a yellow to start the trend and then purple last year to end the trend. Every other year, it's orange or blue.
So we're due.
So we're due for something to change.
Mm-hmm. Something.
It's funny because I mean, like even with the new rule that they literally introduced this year, it's where you can fair catch it like when you're on the playing surface, not in the end zone, and you can
Love
still
doing
get
that in Madden.
the old college rule. I mean, we might as well just not even kick off. Like, let's not kick off and take it from the 20 instead of the 25 every time, so we can add 5 more yards, get rid of the kickoff. What they're doing is making it so that kick returns don't happen. So why even do it? It's not even a play anymore. It's not a free play. There's nothing. Players or teams don't really advantage from it that much. How many kick return touchdowns were there this season?
Not many. I know.
I don't think there was a kick return. I think there was punt returns.
Jalen Reagor had one against the What the hell?
Whoa!
How did that happen?
Is that the iPad?
Yeah. No, I'm on my laptop. That's the first time that's ever happened. I'm going to keep this up. Yeah. Anyways, regardless, for those who don't know, a bubble just popped up next to me with a thumbs up after I gave a thumbs up. I don't know why I gave a thumbs up, but Jalen Reagor returned a kick against the Bills. I don't really remember any other ones, but there were kick returns. And no, I regarding the kickoff return, I don't know if they should just get rid of it because it is a football play. I know teams don't really use it anymore, but
I feel like if it's the opening kickoff, I feel like that's when it should not be like if it's the opening kickoff. Oh well, you know what I mean? Maybe for the regular season games, but for playoffs, like there's an opening kickoff or something like that, or like something along the lines. But if it's like after a touchdown, like that's a play. Like if you like, you can't take that away from someone. The game's 0-0, the clock hasn't ticked yet. Like it's probably going to be a touchback regardless. Like people are already doing it, so I feel like if you're gonna go out there and make this rule now, like especially because you can take it from anywhere inside the 25 and you can just fair catch it and you get it at the 25.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is also really interesting.
Yeah, and back to this too. In a perfect world, the 49ers are calling the toss. They call tails, and they decline or they defer to the second half, right? So they're kicking off to the Chiefs. Mecole Hardman returns the kicks for the Chiefs, I believe. He's going to want to take it out. He really hasn't made much of an impact. If they kick it anywhere that's not through the end zone, he's going to take it back. I just know it. And I'm bookmark this right now around the 15-minute mark. Mecole Hardman is going to return the opening kick. He's going to return it. I'm saying he's going to return it to the
Jacoby Jones?
No, he's not going to return it for a touchdown. He's going to return it.
Wow.
Whether it goes to
that'd be crazy if the 49ers got
that'd be crazy. That'd be a crazy
return in 2 of the last 3 Super Bowl appearances.
That would be a crazy bet. But anyways, regardless, let's move on to the next thing. We have the first 2 drives of the game. Now, I was a little confused. Will, how did you interpret this? Did you interpret it as if the first 2 drives as in one drive? All right, Griff, you're back perfectly.
This is perfect timing. My fault. I had to relocate.
So, yeah, we did. We barely even moved on.
Mm-hmm.
So we're on to the – is there going to be a score on the first 2 drives, right?
Okay.
So I wanted the wording for this. Does this mean the first 2 drives for the Chiefs and the 49ers? Or is it just total for each of their drives?
No, so this is kind of how I pictured it. Was kind of like will there be a run in the first inning? But I did a score instead of a touchdown. So a touchdown and a field goal through the first 2 drives. So yes, like say the 49ers get the ball to start their drive, and that's like the top of the first, and then the Niners is like the bottom of the first.
Mm-hmm.
So like first possession for each team is their score, a touchdown and or a field goal.
Okay, I'm changing.
So that could change your answer. So I'll start here. I'm gonna go yes. I think and this will all line up. I'll explain my whole game once I give my pick for the game, the spread pick. But this all lines up. I'm going yes. to begin this game. Within the first two drives, there will be a score. There's going to be a field goal on the second drive. I already know it. And I already know what team it's going to be. And it's going to be the San Francisco 49ers kicking a field goal on the second drive. My main prediction for this bet.
Okay. Griff, I was thinking similarly to you, but I'm going to say I was taking it in a different with the wording of it. So here's how I'm envisioning this going. I think that the 49ers kick off to the Chiefs. Mecole Hardman returns it to like the 27-yard line, whatever. And I think that the Chiefs get like one first down and then they get shut down. Then they punt it away and the 49ers go, they do whatever, they don't score. And then I think that there's going to be a turnover on the second Chiefs drive, leading to a touchdown or a field goal for the 49ers. I think that there's going to be an early turnover, maybe to start the second quarter or to end the first. And then, yeah, that's how I envision it. I think that the 49ers get on the board first. And we're going to get to our predictions later, but I have some bold predictions for touchdown scores and whatnot, so I'm excited for that.
All right, here's mine. I got Mecole Hardman taking it out of the end zone for about 15-ish yards. The Chiefs are going to go down to about just a little bit before the 50, and they're going to get stopped on like a 3rd and 8. They're going to punt. 49ers start the game off, establish the run game. A couple dump offs to Christian McCaffrey. The second dump off to Christian McCaffrey is going to go for like 30 yards. They're going to open it up. Field goal.
Okay. All right. So me and Will kind of have similar paths here, opposite teams, and Stav saying no. I think that this should be a bet. I kind of just made this up as I was creating this thing, and it's kind of like, will there be a run in the first inning? It's like each team gets the ball. Will there be any points? And you know what? I also think that we should include a safety. Any points in the first two possessions. That I'm guessing that won't change your answer, Stav. It might though. And that gets us to our point where kind of coincides with the whole point of the game, going in terms of, you know, from the beginning of the game to not, you know, all of this is on. So now we're just talking about our bets. I saw this on DraftKings, and it's which team is going to score first. And once again, that's field goal or a touchdown. And I'll get us started here. Like I said in my prediction, I have the 49ers on a field goal, second drive of the game. I think the 49ers open the game up, and I think that this is going to be a game where all three layers of a team are going to have to be used. And I think special teams, and I'll talk about it at the very end of this episode, I think special teams are going to play a very pivotal part in this game.
I mean, I think we kind of already said that when it came to who's scoring first. I got the 49ers. I don't want to say who or how they're going to score first. I just have a weird gut feeling. Mm-hmm. We'll get to it. But I got the 49ers to score first. I said that they would force a turnover and score, but I'm not going to tell you who's going to score for the 49ers yet for the first touchdown.
Okay. I also got the 49ers. I already said with field goal, but first touchdown's coming soon.
Yeah, definitely. So we have a couple more right here, boys, but I'd say we take it right to the halftime show because those kind of categorize with the next category a little bit more. So we'll start those two right after the first half. So we're going to start here. You know, we talked about the national anthem and how about another big performance in this game. Like you mentioned, Stav, the biggest performance in the world is having the honor of doing the Super Bowl halftime. And what better of a guy, R&B legend, pop legend, overall legend, Usher doing the halftime show. I want to say this is the most excited I've been for a halftime show in a very long time. There hasn't been anyone really that too exciting to me, at least. Bruno Mars was a distant memory. I was there. Who else? Who else was good?
I mean, last year I liked Rihanna. I thought she did it great
last year.
That was all right.
I didn't like Justin Timberlake when I was there. I think that was more catered to the viewers on TV because I was there. I didn't really understand what was going on with all the mirrors and shit that they were doing. Oh, sorry for cussing, but where who did the halftime show in Atlanta when the Patriots faced the Rams? That was pretty good.
That wasn't the weekend one, was it?
No, that was the Bucks Chiefs.
That was the Bucks. Yeah.
Who was it? Oh, it's gonna piss me off. It was a rapper.
It was a rapper.
And they had a good one in LA too. The
LA one was pretty good.
The LA one was pretty good too.
You got that. I'm basically just here to say that the Lady Gaga one was terrible. The Katy Perry one was just a joke.
The LA one was Eminem, Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Kendrick Lamar, Mary J. Blige.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one was pretty good.
2019, the one that I was talking about in Atlanta was Maroon 5, Travis Scott, and Big Boy. Travis Scott was good because that's when
Maroon 5 was good. Maroon 5 is good.
Yeah.
And I don't want to hear anything
Travis produced the Super Bowl with Sicko Mode.
Oh, yeah.
Remember when he shot through with the asteroid and everyone thought that it was going to be SpongeBob. Oh, SpongeBob's also performing at halftime.
And SpongeBob will be performing at halftime on Nickelodeon, which we didn't even mention because I'm the one that usually does tune into those Nickelodeon games and watches the whole thing. I did it for the divisional the first year. And I'm just going to come out and say no chance in hell am I going to be watching the Nickelodeon broadcast of the Super Bowl. If you can't get your child to fall in love with sports through watching sports, don't try to force it through Nickelodeon. This is the Super Bowl. Your child should want to watch it. If they don't want to watch it, don't make them. But instead of SpongeBob, we have Usher here in the real life. And obviously we have to guess what his first song is going to be. Now, Usher's been going at it for a minute here. And he has a whole discography to choose from, and I'll get us started. I know you guys will call the song with will.i.am, and I'm not saying that will.i.am is going to be there, but OMG, oh my God, that song. I mean, how, baby, let me, I did it again. That's going to be the beginning, and he's going to walk out. I'm going to let the beat rock. And everybody's going nuts. Just picturing that would be a perfect scenario for me. Stop.
Yeah. I was thinking about it. It's probably his most iconic song. And what better way to start it off with your most iconic song? And I think that when you start off with and you go into oh my God, and you probably play two more songs, he'll probably have a random guest come on the stage. No one usually I feel like that happens, like a rando who's not listed ends up showing up. That'll happen, and then he'll finish it up with something that I'll explain later.
Yep, and then I got DJ Got Us Falling in Love. The reason why I'm picking this song is I feel like the trend for the last few halftime performances is that they play a song that's going to get the crowd hyped up a little bit, but it always gets cut off very soon, and that song kind of progresses pretty quickly, so that the hype part of the song will be played, cut, and then he'll go into his normal set for a few songs, and then I'll get to the song that's going to go next, the finale.
No, well, you brought me perfectly into the last Usher song, which we did last year too, which actually kind of ended up being a bit more exciting than the first song because it was okay, now we really don't know what's happening from here. And like I said, Usher's been going at it for a minute before we were born, and still going at it. There's a whole list to choose from. I'm going a classic from his album Confessions, an R&B track. I'm going with Burn. I'm going to let it burn, burn. You know that song? I mean, because he's got to throw it back. And what better time than to do it at the end, at the very end, his old R&B days. But you can't do I guess you could do My Boo. You can't do Confessions. I had to go with Burn here, Staff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a page out of Will's book here to close it out. I have him saying DJ Got Us Falling in Love again. I feel like that's a good transition into the second half because we all love football, and you got to end it with the classic too. You got to have people think, oh shit, I got I got to listen to some Usher again. So you got to open up strong and you got to close strong. Nothing's more important than those two songs. What happens in the middle happens, but those last two songs are the most memorable. So that's where I'm going with that.
And I got Love in This Club to finish off Usher's performance. I also think it's going to be some sort of a paid advertisement to the Vegas club section that's on the field level. And they're going to pan the camera to the field, and then it's going to come back, and then it's going to go to commercial, and then come back to the field again.
I would love it if that's exactly what happened, but that was the first song. Just so like you're like so on about it, but like didn't get it right.
Yeah, like it started off in the
That would
club
make perfect
section, and then
sense.
Love in This Club came on. I guess my picks are kind of play either way but that's kind of
I
how
feel like they always. I mean, like who knows?
because I feel like they're gonna close the camera out and they're gonna want to get like the people at home are gonna see like all the fans like really enjoying it and be like to try to get like the momentum for Usher's performance to go up, because I feel like a lot of the times that they kind of focus on like just the performer like at home, which obviously everyone wants to see, but like also I feel like they kind of want to focus on the environment because it's Vegas. They're trying to promote like Vegas itself because this is a big deal.
Oh, they're going to have so many shots of the club in the back of the end zone. It's not even going to be funny. You know how expensive those tickets are?
They're probably more than the box. They're probably more than the box upstairs.
It's I don't know if this was the box. It might have been 2.1 million. That's what I saw.
2.5 for the box.
Yeah, so I think it was 2.1 for the club and then 2.5 for the box.
Either way,
you literally have a table on the field. You're a part of the
you're in like this little like booth seating area. It's like probably the size of like a really large hot tub.
Yeah.
They should add a hot tub.
Why not?
And a pool with rays in it.
Mm-hmm. And you got to try and hit
let's just take all the bad things from Tropicana Field and throw them in every stadium. That's how much. I mean, you can tell spring is coming when we start shitting on Tropicana Stadium. So I mean, Usher. Let's just get this out of the way. I'm going to call this an all-time performance, like we just predicted. Like you said, in Vegas, what better time to not only – I think this is the perfect time, and I think technology has come far enough to really make a show catered towards both the people in attendance and the people that are watching from the screen. And I think that this may be like the best variation of that we've ever seen in the history of performances. It's Vegas. It's the Super Bowl. This is the biggest event that they've ever had there. It would be pretty cool. And I want to talk about the World Cup next week. Shout out East Rutherford, New Jersey. It would be pretty cool if Vegas had the final because, how nuts would that be? But we're focused on the Super Bowl right now. And just like that, let's get into some player props here. Let's get started off hot with more rushing yards. Now, on the list, there was a list of most rushing yards. The two top are obviously the starting running backs of both respected teams, Isaiah Pacheco, Christian McCaffrey. In this game, I think it's going to be Pacheco to get more rushing yards. I think that Christian McCaffrey, and you guys may also be on the same side as this, gets more all-purpose yards, and that's why I put rushing in bold and made sure that we saw that because I feel like we may have all gone in the same direction, and it's looking like we have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my whole thought process was that too. I think that the game plan for the Kansas City Chiefs is to kind of manage the clock, and they want to keep their defense off the field, and by doing that, you got to run the damn football. And I think that Isaiah Pacheco is probably going to have 15 carries. I could see him putting up 15 carries for like 75, 80 yards. I don't know if it's going to amount to anything for them, but I think that's what's going to happen. And I think that there's too many options for San Francisco running the football, whether it be Deebo Samuel, whether it be Christian McCaffrey, Elijah Mitchell, maybe even Brock Purdy on a read option or something, mix things up. You know, they always do their end arounds. They always have their misdirection. I think that Pacheco is the clear-cut number one, obviously, in Kansas City to touch the ball the most, probably, outside of Patrick Mahomes. So give me Pacheco in that.
Yeah, no, I'm on the Pacheco train as well for the rushing yards. Like you said, Griff, I think CMC is going to have the most all-purpose yards. They also, like you said, saw the 49ers have way more options. 4 rushing plays than the Chiefs do. Obviously, we'll get to more predictions later, but I also think maybe not trusting in the wide receiver is going to lead to some more Pacheco runs, especially like in their red zone, like just to be safe. If it just at least because you know how Andy Reid likes to play, he likes to guarantee his team points. So if he knows that 49ers defense is going out there stifling in the red zone, they're going to run the ball and get points, especially depending on where they are on the field. But I feel like more likely than that, Pacheco will definitely have more rushing yards.
Yeah, and McCaffrey's actually the favorite in that bet, and I'm not a big fan. I think it was like because it listed many players, like who would be the leading rusher in the game, and McCaffrey was like -250, and then Pacheco was like -110. I like that bet a lot, and it looks like we all do too. And another thing that obviously we all like to talk about is the over under the game, and we're going to save that as well as the spread for towards the end. But I'm really interested to see you guys' perspective on how you think this game is going to start. And the first half over is set at 23.5. And I kind of thought that was a lot of points for the first half of the Super Bowl. I know they obviously split it in half. And we'll get into the over under this game, but I like the under in the first half. I think it's going to be a slow start to the game, like we all mentioned on the first 2 drives. And I think it's going to be a little bit more about both offenses kind of finding themselves, like Will mentioned. Maybe Mahomes doesn't have all the trust in the world in his receivers, and it's about getting that run game going, and then it turns into a possession battle. And I think that's going to be a large part of the first half is just who can hold the ball on or who can hold on to the ball longer. And then the second half, we're going to see a few more punches. This is a heavyweight bout, and I think that we're going to get into the latter rounds and then see some sparks fly towards the end stuff.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I think it's going to be a lot of a feeling out process, especially in the first quarter. And I wouldn't be surprised if the first quarter ended scoreless. I feel like that's what happens a lot of the time in the Super Bowl. And it's kind of hard to score 24 points combined in one quarter, in my opinion. So I see I see the halftime score being like maybe 10-10, 7-10, 13-7, something along those lines. I don't see any team putting up 20 in the first half. I know that San Francisco's kind of started off slower in these games, but with that being said, like in their playoffs, I'm saying the first half has not been too kind to them. But with 2 weeks to prepare, I think it's going to be a little bit different. I think that they're going to come out, the defense especially. I think the defense is going to be firing on all cylinders. I'm expecting to see a big first half from Chase Young, and I think it's going to be kind of a stalemate. 10-7, 13-7 is where I'm putting it at.
Mm-hmm. I initially had the over. Then I took a look at it again as we were getting closer to it. I'm like, honestly, like in my head, I was just seeing oh my God, I just drew a blank. Anyways, 23.5. I was like, that's way too many points. Something about it just made it seem like there was too much. Like a 10-7 seems right, or maybe like a 10-10, like you said, Stav. I couldn't see both teams potentially scoring 23.5 or 24 points. It just seems like too much, especially because I feel like more than often in the Super Bowl, I feel like the first half of that game, it goes by quick, but it also feels a little drawn out at the same time. Like it feels like all teams are running, a couple pass plays, and it kind of just like lags the game behind. And then little do you know, Usher's going to be coming out, and you're like, wow, this is a really tight game going into halftime. So I feel like that if the way we've been predicting the game and the way I've been saying it beforehand would not align with me picking the over in the first half at least.
Yeah, it's kind of the similar trend for like all Super Bowls, and especially the ones that you expect to be close. And I think that we're all expecting this one to not be a blowout. It's going to be a feel out process, and in the Super Bowl, the feel out process is a lot longer than in the regular season because you really don't know what the defense is going to throw at you. And as an offense, it kind of turns into a battle of are we reacting or are we battling? So I think it's going to be kind of interesting to see how Mahomes handles that with his wide receivers and then how Brock Purdy handles that as a guy that's never been in that type of situation before, in a situation where the lights are the brightest. And he's, 2 years off of being the final pick. And obviously I'm a Seahawks fan, not a big 49ers guy, but I have been on record saying that I am a Brock Purdy guy. was a big fan of him at Iowa State, watched him all 35 years that he was there, and now I hate him. So let's get into some more game props here. Let's get into the quarterbacks like we were just mentioning. Starting off with Patrick Mahomes, we're going to be talking about over-under total passing yards here. Patrick Mahomes listed at 263. I'm taking the over. And I'm not one of those guys that's going to come out and say that Travis Kelce's going to have a massive day. I'm not saying that he's not. He's not in really any of the bets that I have or any of the real information that I have on the podcast. And it's I don't know what is deterring me from Travis Kelce. Maybe it's that I think that George Kittle is a better tight end. But I'm going to take the over here for Patrick Mahomes, and I actually believe in these wide receivers. I think that there's going to be a few guys that show up and show out on Sunday, and I'm going to talk about one of them that I'm really excited to talk about when we talk about our favorites for anytime touchdown.
Yeah, absolutely. And okay, this is going to seem like a hot take. The Chiefs' offense has been terrible in the playoffs.
Yep.
They played okay against Buffalo. They didn't really do much against Miami. Granted, it was negative 30 degrees or whatever it was that game, but they really didn't do much outside of the opening drive, right? So that's 2 games down. Against Baltimore, where they put up 17 points, and the Ravens should have won that game, in my opinion. They played better. It just the thing is, it's hard to bet against Patrick Mahomes because he's the best quarterback in the NFL. He's the best quarterback that we've seen physically and with all the intangibles and whatnot. He's great. Like you put him into the great category. I don't think he's going to throw the ball that much in this game. I think that the Chiefs' offensive plan is just to give it to Isaiah Pacheco and manage the clock. And I don't think that they have the big play. They don't have the big play anymore. It really doesn't seem like they do. This 49ers defense in the secondary is kind of weak, so that's why I originally had it over. But I just think the pass rush is going to be too much for Mahomes. And let's look back at 2020, right? When the Tampa Bay Buccaneers beat the Chiefs 31-9 or whatever it was. How'd they beat them? They rushed 4 the entire time, and they got to Patrick Mahomes. I know the offensive line was banged up, but I just feel like this offensive line for the Chiefs is at its breaking point. They've gotten away with so much in the postseason with holding and all these penalties that weren't called. I don't like the, you know what I mean? It's just they're at the breaking point, and with 2 weeks to prepare, this defensive line for the 49ers is something that the Chiefs haven't seen up to this point in the playoffs, and to be honest, up to the point in the regular season. And I just expect a big day out of Nick Bosa and Chase Young. I'm all over it. I think that Fred Warner is going to be flying around the field, and I don't see Mahomes having that much time to throw. So I think that they're going to keep it on the ground, and they're going to kind of keep it at the short gains.
My initial one, Stav, you kind of convinced me on this one, but my initial look at the 2 numbers for both Purdy and Mahomes, I was going to go Mahomes initially over, and then I was like initially under, and then I was like, I'll go over. Now I'm sticking to my guts because you know what, I did it for something else. I got to stick to it now. I'm going back to the under. I'm also with you on that. I feel like it's going to be a hard day for Mahomes passing the ball, especially since they have Pacheco. They can rely on the run if they need to, and they're going to have those plays there. I just don't see them being able to advance the ball really far down the field with the pass. I think they're going to have their short routes and stuff like that and kind of build up the offense and chew a lot of clock because they need to control the game in that way because they don't want their defense on the field for that long. They would rather play with the clock than have the Niners with an explosive offense and defense go down there. As long as they can hold the ball and do their own thing and control the game, 263 seems like a lot. It kind of is. I mean, for a Super Bowl, I feel like the 250 mark isn't bad, but it's Mahomes. So, like, he could do anything. He is a great quarterback, the best quarterback in the league. But I'm going to go under.
All right. And it's kind of starting to come into fruition, and everybody's starting to kind of figure out, I think, who we are all personally leaning on the side of in terms of the spread of this game. And if you don't, then I think that this will let you guys know. The next pick that we have here is Brock Purdy over under 246 yards in this game, and I'm taking the under. Now, I already told you about Brock Purdy on record for all of this, but I mean, his his shenanigans, can't go on towards the Super Bowl. His throwing it up in the air and hoping that somebody's there, that's not going to fly in the Super Bowl. And I know that you have superstars at every level to throw to, even to Jawan Jennings, who would be a starting receiver on a lot of these NFL football teams, who doesn't get a lot of light because of all the superstars on this offense. I think that this is a game where you put it in the hands of Brock Purdy and see what he can do. And he's going to overall dictate whether or not the San Francisco 49ers are in the game. And as a Seahawks fan, when the game is in Brock Purdy's hands and it's just him and he has to make the personal plays by himself to win a football game, what happens? I don't know. Nobody knows. It's never come down to it. This is the Super Bowl. And it's like, make your worst player beat you. And I feel like this is kind of like, I used to say this about that Rams team that made the Super Bowl, where I kind of thought Jared Goff was the worst player on that offense. I'm not saying Brock Purdy's terrible. I'm just saying that if you have to, single out one person, put them on an island on this offense and be like, make this person beat us. In this case, it's the quarterback. And I don't think that he's going to be able to perform. And I'm pretty sure that you guys know what I'm taking in this game now, but I'll pass it to you, Stav.
So, Griff, my counterpoint is that screen passes and flick passes count towards passing yards.
Oh, I know.
And that's why I have him over 246 yards. I genuinely think that they're going to dink and dunk their way down the field. They're going to keep putting guys in motion. They're going to do what they do with that fun offense, and everyone's going to be moving pre-snap, getting these guys open, making it next to impossible for Brock Purdy to fail. And then they're going to probably hit one chunk play like they always do, or they even just hit a slant and Deebo Samuel takes it 70 yards to the house like he does. And that's where I see the yards coming, or a screen to Christian McCaffrey or whatever it may be. Brock Purdy won't beat the Kansas City Chiefs. That's how he will not beat the Kansas City Chiefs, but the skill players around him will. And you give the ball to George Kittle on a 5-yard out route, he's going to break 3 tackles and take it to 20 yards. Or you let Deebo Samuel go on a little short in cut after going in motion, messing up the entire trajectory of the defense. He's going to take a pass that should be a 7-yard gain and make it a 40-yard gain. So that's where I see the yards coming from. For the rest of the week, I'm going to look at a little bit more film for the Chiefs defense. But from what I saw, they don't play well against pre-snap motion. And that's kind of what they struggled with when they went on that losing streak towards the end of the season. And then when it came to the playoffs, no one was motioning against them. The Dolphins kind of did, but that game's an anomaly. That game was negative 10 degrees, whatever it was, like I said a few times. And the Bills don't run pre-snap motion, and the Ravens didn't either. So I think that it's going to be a little confusing for the defense, for the young defensive line as well, with all the pulling guards and whatnot. That's where I have the yards coming from, is from the skill players.
Mm-hmm. It's not because I say any better. I also have the over in this case. I just find it hard to see that the chunk of Purdy's yards are going to come from some kind of screenplay to McCaffrey, and the odds of him taking it 10 or more yards each time are very high. He just has that ability to escape from multiple tackles and keep going. And he's got to break out for one of them. He's going to break out for probably multiple of them. And I also see him, especially when they get closer up into the red zone and they need a play, a nice little dump off to him is going to do them very well. I think that's going to take for a lot of the chunk of the yards, at least for Purdy. I think it's going to be close, though. I think this cashes late in the game.
Yeah, I love it. I like the variation we have in our picks. And I kind of like the way that you broke it down, Stav, because it was the two ways of seeing this game through the eyes of Brock Purdy. And it's a matter of how does he get the ball to his superstars. And I kind of took the latter of your position. So I kind of do, it'll be interesting to see, who's making those plays on that offense. Is it those guys, or are the Chiefs going to be able to kind of maybe figure out that offense enough to put put the ball in the hands of Brock Purdy and let him, beat them deep or do these other things. So I love that. I think that was our best category so far. Let's move on. We have a miscellaneous section. Just throw them in here. We all went on to our sports book of choice, and went through, filtered through, and chose our favorite bets, whether it be something fun that we like to do, something that we genuinely think that we're going to bet on, or in my case, I'll say it, something that has already been placed as a straight bet. And this is a fun thing that I like to do, especially in big games. I like to look at the longest plays, longest reception, longest touchdown here was set at 37.5. I'm going to take the over at -110 on DraftKings. The longest touchdown in the game, over 37.5 yards. And I think it could come in a variation of ways. I think it's going to come in the second half. And I think it's going to be a play that changes the direction of this game. I think that I just, this is, like I said, two heavy hitters in a heavyweight bout where some major punches are going to be thrown. So I'm going to take the longest touchdown over 37.5 yards.
Yeah, and I'm kind of on the same trajectory as you when it comes to over yards on a specific play. And I forget where I saw this. I don't remember where I saw it. I think I saw it on Twitter or something, and I fell in love with it. I'm like, no way that this is true. But Isaiah Pacheco, his longest rush yard on one play total was at 15.5. And I feel like he's bound to get like 20 yards on a rush. I feel like that's going to happen. I mean, we saw it last week, we saw it conference championship week with Detroit, where Jahmyr Gibbs had a 30-yard rush. Josh Reynolds, I think, had an end around that he took 40 yards. All these guys they get long runs against the 49ers defense sometimes. And I think maybe to start the game on the opening drive, I think he gets like a 16-yard rush or something, maybe to even open the game, just to kind of get the blood flowing, because he runs hard. And you can only imagine how hard he's going to run in the Super Bowl on the opening play. I have Isaiah Pacheco, longest rush over 15.5 yards. Odds were -110.
I only have one written in the doc, but I have two just in case you can't get this one, because I know this one's really hard to find. I forgot where I found this one, but I picked it last year, and I think I picked it the year before. But because why not? Yes to a scoreagami. It's just fun. Why not? It's the Super Bowl. But for a more serious one, I like the first team to score will also win the game.
Oh, okay. Okay. Is that a touchdown and a field goal?
I believe so.
It should be, right?
Yeah.
Because
It should be. If not, if you don't have that option, I still like the first team to score a touchdown wins the game.
All right. I actually, I can't wait to talk about how I think this game is going to go, because I do have just a prediction on the first few drives, and obviously they won't happen. Like, none of it will happen, but always fun to think about. And something that's always fun to think about, everybody's favorite section of betting football is anytime touchdown score. We've got some fun ones here. And in a game with a lot of names from the past, from the present, a few names from the future, you could even say as well. I'll get us started here. I have a plus 550, a little diamond in the rough here. Marquez Valdes-Scantling, anytime touchdown. I think he plays a major role in the offense of the Kansas City Chiefs. He's a veteran, and he's had some experience. Obviously, no Super Bowl experience. Or was he in the Super Bowl with the Chiefs before?
Yes. You was the MVS last year.
Yeah. Okay, that's what I was going to say. But obviously, other than that, a boatload of experience with one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time in Green Bay, a lot of playoff experience. He's someone that you can kind of just trust in this offense, which, we've talked about throughout the majority of the season. The Chiefs don't have many of those guys. Plus 550, I just love the value there for him to score a touchdown. If it's the Super Bowl and Patrick Mahomes doesn't throw a touchdown, then something is up. So I'm going to take Marquez Valdes-Scantling here. A high value, low risk, high reward type play.
That's a pretty good one. Anytime touchdown. Am I allowed to say two?
Yeah.
For what I have here.
Yeah.
I think a lock is Deebo Samuel. I think that Deebo Samuel is going to get in the end zone. There's no doubt about it. He's way too involved with this offense that he doesn't. And I feel like I really don't need to get much more in depth than that because we're going to talk about the game a little bit later. But I have a long shot that I'm too confident in. And I hate that I'm so confident in it. But Kyle Juszczyk's going to get in the end zone.
I love it. I love
Kyle
that play.
Juszczyk is
And
going
I
to
know
get in
Will
the end
does
zone.
too. We're a Kyle Juszczyk podcast.
We are. I was looking for a Kyle Juszczyk jersey on NFL Shop when they won the NFC Championship, just because I'm obviously repping the team I'm repping in the Super Bowl, unnamed. But that was a little boy. But they were sold out. They were sold out before Deebo Samuel. They
I
were
have a
sold
shirt
out before
jersey. Will knows.
Juszczyk.
Yeah.
That's badass.
Yeah. My girlfriend got it for me for like our first Christmas together.
That's badass.
Kind of a stupid
Fullback
gift
nation.
if you ask me.
Oh, I would love that. Where did
That's
Juszczyk
cool.
always playing in San Francisco, or was he?
Yeah. Or no, he was in Baltimore. He was in Baltimore.
Yeah, that's
He was in Baltimore with Ricard.
Yeah, I was thinking about
Fullback
that.
room's crazy.
Yeah, he was in Baltimore. He was in
Yeah.
Baltimore. Hero, and I love that pick. Will?
I got Rashid Rice getting in the end zone. I know it's only plus 130, but I like him a lot. Patrick Mahomes has kind of established him as a high caliber wide receiver in their offense, and I think they find him. He's also a rookie, and I feel like teams tend to look for stuff like that, similar to why I like Stav's pick with Kyle Juszczyk, because a fullback scores in the Super Bowl. Like, I love that. A team that has a fullback that gets used, he scores in the Super Bowl. Like,
He's a weapon. He's
yeah,
more of a jackknife than a fullback. He's a dude I want on my team, and that's why I tried to get Juszczyk in our Madden franchise from Will. Didn't work out, but I love Kyle Juszczyk. He's the best fullback in the NFL, so that's why.
Yeah. No, Stav, I know that you're doing your draft review and you're doing all skill positions. I do have someone to add to that. His last name is Senate. It's like Senat. He's a fullback from K-State. He plays a little tight end. Sometimes he gets in the slot. He's someone worth watching. His first name might be Ben Senate, something like that. He's an absolute like weapon. He like my closest resemblance to Kyle Juszczyk I've ever seen. That's the only reason he popped up in my brain. But he's coming out of K-State this year, and he'll be in the draft. Like we had anytime touchdown, we also have first touchdown scorer in this game. And
you're
like
right.
I said, that the 49ers would score first, and in the first two drives, they'd kick a field goal. I also have them scoring the first touchdown in this game, and I have it going to George Kittle on exactly like one of those drives where it's kind of getting the offense going, a couple runs, a couple dump downs, a screen maybe. And then you find Kittle in the red zone where he makes his magic, a physical play, probably something around the middle of the field, letting him use his physicality, go up and get a ball to start this game. Someone that's been in the Super Bowl before, and someone, that probably wants it the most on this field is George Kittle. So plus 1,000 George Kittle for first touchdown score.
Griff, I take your plus 1,000 and raise it to plus 4,000.
I saw your eyes light up when I said plus 1,000.
And listen, I'm not a gambling expert. I am, but I just have a weird hunch. Kyle Juszczyk, man, it's just there. I feel like the 49ers are going to have a drive. They're going to force a turnover. They're going to march down the field. It's going to be like 6 yards, 5 yards, 4 yards, 5 yards, 5 yards. And they're going to get to like the 6-yard line. And they're going to do a waggle, right? They're going to fake a handoff left. Brock Purdy's going to roll right. When you have Kyle Juszczyk as the left side wing, he's going to run a drag, and Kittle's going to be the right side tight end. He's going to run a corner. The corner is going to drop back to get Kittle, leaving Kyle Juszczyk wide open in the flat for the touchdown. I see it. I love it. And he's going to catch it at like the 2-yard line and dive in for no reason, and he's going to score. And remember, the 56-minute mark, I said this. That's exactly how it's going to happen on a play fake to the left, Juszczyk coming around the field, getting hit in the flat, diving into the end zone for a touchdown. That's what I have it at. Kyle Juszczyk plus 4,000. $25 gets you $1,000.
Wow. All right. I got Brandon Ayuk scoring the first touchdown. Like I said, I see the 49ers driving down the field and they kick a field goal. Let's pretend that they got the first down on the third down there. They don't kick a field goal. Now they're closer to the goal. Now they're closer to the end zone. I see Brock Purdy taking the snap, looking left over towards Debo Samuel and Kittle. The play breaks up. He rolls out, finds Brandon Ayuk in the back of the end zone. First touchdown.
Simple as that. At plus 1100,
Plus 1100.
some high odds picks for first touchdown, and we've all kind of, through this discussion, kind of released or leaked who we're going to be picking in this game. So let's get down to it. The spread that I have is -2. I don't know if anybody has any different. I saw -1.5 on ESPN. I don't use ESPN. I saw 2.
Yeah.
And, it's kind of a pick 'em, a field goal game. I'm going to go with the Kansas City Chiefs. You can put your biases aside. Or I didn't say that right. I'm going to put my biases aside. You can say that I'm not. But, I do this weird thing every year, and it comes back to haunt me sometimes where it's just like sometimes you look at the two quarterbacks that are going up against each other, and it's like, come on. Patrick Mahomes has a lot to prove in this. If he gets this, it'll be his 3rd in 6 years. I'm not going to talk about any pacing or what he's on pace to do or who he's on pace to be because that doesn't matter. All that matters is Sunday. And I think Patrick Mahomes is something that, obviously we've never seen before. I think that he has the potential to, go on and be one of those guys that's talked about. And I think that this is a big game to do it because you talk about the guys that are on the other side of the ball and all the names that you can mention and even the head coach of San Fran being at the stature that he's at. And he was drunk as hell at media day too, and everybody knows that. I don't know if you guys saw that. He was like slurring on his words and he was just like making fun of like reporters and just like joking around. He was so hammered. Respect to him though. He's enjoying his time in Vegas. He's a mastermind. I think it's going to come down to coaching. And I think it's going to – and just because of that, I'm not saying that Andy Reid is a better coach. By that, I mean that this is going to be one hell of a game. And I think that at the end of the day, it's going to come down to Kansas City and Patrick Mahomes lifting them over to the promised land. And like I mentioned, and I'll let you take over in a second, Stav. This is the last bit of it. Like I mentioned, I have San Fran obviously kicking a field goal. And I also have them scoring first. I have San Fran really controlling the game throughout the first half. I have Patrick Mahomes just absolutely lighting things up in the second half. And that over 37 and a half yards touchdown that I have is what lines up with that MVS touchdown. Like you said, they don't really have that big play. I think it might be on some sort of broken play situation where it's not, MVS isn't going to beat anybody with the speed at this point. He used to be a speedster. He's still kind of fast, but he's lengthy too. I think it'll be a broken play. Patrick Mahomes finds his way around, throws one hell of a ball to MVS. And I think that that's going to be the real difference. Maybe it's a spark point that, lifts a comeback, or maybe it's that final step of a comeback. But I kind of see this being as like one of those comeback Patrick Mahomes games to kind of cement himself into his own legacy and his own history book, So I'm going to take Kansas City in this game. And like I said, I put my biases aside. Fuck the 49ers.
I feel like – so let me preface this by saying the 49ers were my preseason team. I bet them in August to win the Super Bowl, and now it comes down to the Super Bowl. As a bettor, this is exactly what you want. You want to be in this position. And the San Francisco 49ers – all season have had this chip on their shoulder, right? All season, they're like, we should have been in the Super Bowl last year. We would have beat the Chiefs. The Eagles, the only reason why they won is because Brock Purdy got hurt. Then they went out, and we said this back when it happened, and they dominated Philadelphia in Philly. They backed up their claims. And it's very rare we get to see an opportunity with an NFL team like that where they make the claims in the offseason and they go into one of the hardest environments that there is in the NFL and back up the shit talk, right? And all season, it's been revenge tour for them. They go and they right their wrongs. What is the biggest wrong in 49ers history as of late? Losing to the Kansas City Chiefs, blowing a 10-point lead in 2020. The core there is the same. The core of Deebo Samuel, Fred Warner, Nick Bosa, Drake, all these guys, Kyle Shanahan, these guys were there. They know what it feels like to lose a Super Bowl. I don't see them losing again. I think that if the NFL is scripted, we're going to see something similar of the fact where it's going to come down to a deep ball that Brock Purdy hits and doesn't overthrow Brandon Ayuk or Deebo Samuel like we saw Jimmy Garoppolo overthrow Emmanuel Sanders. I think Purdy can make that throw, and I think that's what's going to happen. I think that it's going to be a late drive for the 49ers to go in and win the Super Bowl. And the argument's going to be Patrick Mahomes had the ball one more time, they would have won. But last year, that was they got the ball kind of last, and they ended up winning that way. I have the 49ers -2. I feel like it's very hard to bet against Patrick Mahomes. And it's been an ethical dilemma for me because obviously, Will, you can relate to this probably more so than Griff, but growing up, you never bet against Tom Brady. Like, Tom Brady doesn't lose these games. And Patrick Mahomes is entering that category where it's like, okay, would you rather lose your money betting on Patrick Mahomes or lose your money betting against Patrick Mahomes? And that's the hardest part about it. If it was literally any other team in the NFC representing, I would have the Chiefs in this. But I just think that the fact that the 49ers have gone through this season with the revenge mindset and the mindset that we are going to right our wrongs, they've done it up to this point. I can't go against them that they're not going to right this wrong. 49ers are going to win this game 31-27.
Okay. There's a lot to think about in this predicament here. I have to pick a spread here. I'm going to save my spread first just to get it out of the way, and then I'll continue talking. I have the San Francisco 49ers -2. Obviously got them winning the game here. There's a lot to think about. There's a lot of storylines. There's a lot of narratives. We could just stick first right here to football. It's hard to bet against Patrick Mahomes. And I had a dilemma last season too because not a big fan of the Chiefs. Definitely don't like the Eagles. I picked the Chiefs because I was like, you know what? Like, I'm not gonna lose a sucker betting on the Eagles. But if we want to take a look at last year here, and for the Chiefs had all the experience in the world. Mahomes has already been there 3 times, or would have been his 3rd time, I believe. This Eagles team was a bunch of rookies, a bunch of young guys, a bunch of people who haven't been there. There's only very few. Both of these teams have almost around the same few guys that have played against each other the last time they played in the Super Bowl, which wants to make me believe that in this case scenario, I have to pick the better team on paper. And I believe the better team on paper is the San Francisco 49ers, defensively and offensively. Now I'm going to get to my MVP when I get there, but I think the storyline for both teams are there. I think the storyline for Brock Purdy is even more there. For what he could do to set himself up for the rest of his career and the rest of his life, I mean, he has an opportunity to almost shock the world. The last pick in the draft, Mr. Irrelevant, goes out there, wins the Super Bowl, wins Super Bowl MVP. I mean, there's a lot on the line here, and this team believes in Purdy with all the speculations that have happened since the beginning of the playoffs during the season when he had that little 3-week stint and then came back. They beat the Eagles, and they haven't stopped since. I like the way this team believes in Purdy. I like the way they get behind him. I'm not saying that the Chiefs don't have that same feeling towards Mahomes, but it's Mahomes. Like, how can you not? And I really feel like this 49ers team bought into who they are and found themselves as a team after this Eagles win, and they haven't slowed down since.
All right. So Will and Stav taking San Fran in this game, me going with the Kansas City Chiefs. By the sounds of it, it all seems like we think it's going to be a close game, and hopefully it is. And we talked about the first half over-under, and we all took the under there, and we talked about, kind of a battle of possession. And I feel like something that I forgot to mention was I feel like the first half overs when they hit, like we kind of already know who's going to win the game. Like, I don't remember there being a time where there was like a really high scoring. I mean, other than obviously the Falcons Patriots one, but I'm thinking of like Seahawks Broncos.
Seahawks
like
Patriots that was relatively
yeah.
high in the first half.
Mm-hmm.
Was it high in the first half, or was that the third
14.
quarter that kind of got going? Because didn't the Pats score like 2 touchdowns? or something like
Well,
that. I mean,
at
who
halftime,
even knows about it?
yeah, it was halftime. It was 14-14 because
Oh, so
the
yeah, I mean,
Seahawks
yeah, it probably hit the over then. But you
28 to
get what I'm
24.
saying. Regardless of that, the over-under set is 47 and a half. And I'm going to take the over here. I kind of drew it out at the beginning. I think it's going to be a possession battle to start the game, see who can hold on to the ball the longest. And then there's going to be some big time plays, a lot of touchdowns in the second half. I'm going to take the over at 47 and a half and stop. I'll let you kind of dive into it a little bit more.
Yeah, I kind of already said my final score prediction. I'll
Mhm.
keep it short and sweet. I got the over here. I have my final prediction being 31-27. Teams they're going to score in the second half. First half's going to be kind of feeling out. That's why I said under. But then in the third and fourth quarter, it's just going to be fireworks. I think that teams are going to score. It's going to be back and forth in the second half, and it's going to be 27-24. Final drive. Brock Purdy leads them into the end zone, touchdown. Not clinching the win, but in all honesty, yeah, clinching the win with probably I can see him scoring with like a minute left, and there not being much time for Mahomes to do anything.
I also got the over in this. Like I said prior to this point now, where I think the first half is going to be kind of a slow half. It usually tends to be, and I think that's going to carry over into the first half of the third quarter. I think both teams are kind of like have like a little stagnant go at it. There's going to be a few scores, a few field goals, and I think right around that halfway point of the third quarter to the halfway point of the fourth quarter, it's going to be fireworks. I think the 49ers are going to go out there and get like a quick touchdown. The Chiefs are going to go back and get another quick touchdown, and it's going to be quick score, quick score, quick score. And then the Chiefs are finally going to get the ball, settle it down because there's about like, I don't know, 6-7 minutes left to go in the game. They're going to try to draw out to hope that they can kind of get this game closer or potentially take a lead here and leave it all on Brock Purdy to beat them. And that's where the over goes.
All right. So we all got the over here, which I like.
Another thing too, you cannot bet the under on the Super Bowl. It's the last game. It's the last football game we'll see until August preseason. I just had to say that.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, after this, it's like, no, why would you bet the under in general? In a football game in general. I mean, you go out there, it's the greatest show on turf. And unless you're a Patriots fan, why would you ever bet the under?
Also, like, do you really want to be that guy that's in the room with a bunch of like your friends who bet on the Super Bowl and they took X team in the over and you're the only person sitting there like sweating because Patrick Mahomes is lighting up the 49ers or like the other way around? You know what I mean? Like you see a lot of points being scored and you're just sitting there like you're that one guy screaming about the under. It's like, why did you bet the under?
Like when the total is going to be 4 points away in the third quarter, and you're sitting there like, oh, I really hope they don't score for the rest of this game. And then you're going to be sitting there.
It's like, why would I watch
July? Like, you're going to be sitting in the middle of July and be like, damn, I miss football. No, you don't, motherfucker. You wanted no one to score in the second half of the Super Bowl. You wanted the final score to be what it was when Usher was singing "Yeah" at halftime, dick. So I don't want to hear from those people. Don't say you miss football if you bet the under in the Super Bowl.
Exactly. Like if you bet the under, you might as well just like not watch the game.
Yeah, just game cast it. Watch it on the real app.
Like do something else.
Puppy Bowl. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't even know why I put that here. We always take the over, especially in these big games. And you know what bigger reward, other than the Lombardi Trophy than to be named Walter Payton Man of the Year. But other than that, the MVP of the Super Bowl is quite important as well. And I want to cover that before we cover the most important thing in the whole entire game, and that'll be the final of that. We all predicted who we think is going to win the game. Now we got to give out our picks for Super Bowl MVP, and I picked the 49ers, or not the 49ers, geez. I picked the 49ers to lose. And obviously that means that I would have Patrick Mahomes be the MVP. And I put another name down there, and obviously there's, no shot that he ever wins Super Bowl MVP. But I think that a guy that is going to circulate through households of America after this game is Nick Bolton, young linebacker who stepped into a role when Drew Tranquill got hurt. Now Tranquill's back, but they kind of are dual heading it. I think Nick Bolton has a good game. He's a young linebacker. He's very speedy. He's good on the blitz, but he can also drop back and cover. I think that he's going to have to be on George Kittle a decent amount, just based on how many dogs that offense has. There's going to have to be some sets where you have to sacrifice that, and you're really going to put him into the spotlight. So I think that this is a real make or break opportunity for him. I think that Drew Tranquill has the chance to have a good game as well. But it's all going to come down to that middle linebacker group of Kansas City, in my opinion, because that secondary isn't that great. It's going to come back to that linebacker group and overall just that front seven of Kansas City if they want to go out and win that game.
Super Bowl MVP is very unpredictable because I feel like a lot of the time the guys who should win it don't, and the guys who don't win it should. Did I say that right? Whatever.
Probably not.
Obviously, like the guys who win the MVP shouldn't, and the guys who don't win it should. Yeah.
No, I go. Yeah.
But
yeah.
Like, for example, when the Chiefs won their first Super Bowl, it should have been Damian Williams who won the MVP. He dominated that game, but they gave it to Patrick Mahomes. And just like so on and so forth. But I don't think a quarterback wins the MVP here. I think it's going to be a receiver. And whoever wins, I'm kind of hedging my bet here with the 49ers. I think Deebo Samuel wins the Super Bowl MVP if the 49ers win. And I think Rashee Rice wins it if the Chiefs win. I think for the Chiefs to win, Rashee Rice needs to do something. I think he needs to go for 150 and 2 touchdowns. And I think he's fully capable of doing that. I said that the 49ers secondary is that's not the strength of their defense. And without Talanoa Hufanga in that secondary, I don't necessarily trust anyone to cover Rashee Rice over the top. Give me Deebo Samuel or Rashee Rice. I bet both of those.
Okay. Stav, similarly to like what you said to open up that, where like usually the guy who like you would think would get like, I don't know how to phrase that. I know you literally just said it, but what Stav said to open up his statement is the reason why I'm going with Brock Purdy, also for the storyline. If I'm going to be like, if I were to, I mean, it's hard not to bet a quarterback because a quarterback usually wins it no matter what, unless literally the player completely dominated, which still doesn't even happen. But I do really like CMC as a second, if not Nick Bosa.
Nick Bosa. Yeah, I like the idea of taking a defensive guy. I hate that they never give it to him. They never give it to the defensive guys, especially. And there's a key one that I remember. I'm not going to bring him up. But wow. I mean, we pretty much made it through the whole Super Bowl. Everything has been predicted other than one final thing, and that is the color of the Gatorade that will be dumped onto the winning coach. One of America's favorite bets. It's actually something that I took last year for the first time, and I don't know if I'm going to take it. I don't love that. I like the coin toss more for some reason. I kind of just like when the game ends, I'm like, oh, I'm never like that. When I see, I don't even look at the Gatorade dump. So I think that's a big reason why I don't like betting it. But I'm going to go with the highest odds here, and it's white/clear. I'm a big fan of the snow. What is it? Like the wild cherry or the snow cherry Gatorade. That Gatorade's good. It's a hit or miss. Some people love it. Some people hate it. Me, I love it. And if it's not that, I mean, it could just be water. And if Andy Reid wins it, why not just dump him in water and then let him eat like 15 hamburgers? He like that seems like a prime. It would be like he's in Hawaii. I mean, that's what Andy Reid wants to be doing. So I'm just gonna go white clear, highest odds, and yeah, kind of for the fun of it.
I got yellow. I just feel like that's probably one color that both teams, or I don't know. It's like it's been blue. It's been some stupid color the last few years. I mean, I could say
it was like it was purple in the Bucks one.
Yeah,
last year the Chiefs had purple too.
Yeah,
or maybe that was it.
Yeah,
remember they didn't even show it last year. Was that last year?
Yeah, that no one knew what it was.
Yeah, and then like it went crazy on Twitter because of that. Like
and then like the people who picked purple were like, wait, what? Because it was like actually like the longest shot. I think water had a better odds than purple Gatorade.
My favorite part about the odds for the Gatorade color is literally there's no basis on it. You can't.
No, they just it's just like
whoever designed the odds that day just literally wrote down plus 300 a yellow.
Yeah.
Bad Gatorade. Like, but
And
I got
I love taking white/clear too, because they have like a whole deal with Gatorade. Like, it's not going to be water; it's going to be Gatorade. That's like definitely something that Gatorade was like, "Hey, we'll give you X million dollars if you dump Gatorade on the winning coach." So it's not going to be white clears. I hate my pick. Now that I think about it, I hate it because it's not going to be water. It has to be Gatorade.
Yeah.
I'm going with
clear
orange.
Gatorade.
I'm going with orange because the last time these guys played, the Chiefs dumped orange Gatorade on Andy Reid. So for the revenge story, they're going to drop orange Gatorade.
All right, I like that. I like that. I like that a lot. All right. Does anybody else have anything for the Super Bowl special?
Bang bang Niner game. I'm excited. You can't have a bad Super Bowl. It's impossible.
Yeah.
Like, if the NFL script, just please script it so it's a good game. Like, please, because it just leaves a sour taste in your mouth when it's a bad game for, I don't know. It's just annoying. Rig it for a good game. That's all I'm saying.
I have one more final prop.
Mm-hmm.
Defensive special team touchdown anytime.
I have that too. I forgot to say that. I have that too.
I like that too. Like I love both teams to get like a potential strip sack fumble, or like a sack six, a sack fumble six, or like a pick six. Like, I feel like something like that's gonna happen.
Yeah, I told you special teams are going to play a heavy influence in this game, so I don't mind that at all. Our good friend, our dear friend Kevin sent one in. Las Vegas is invaded by aliens, and the game ends in a tie plus 100,000.
It's a good one.
So, I mean, add that to his card. And that's about it. That's all I have for this episode.
If something's plus 100,000, you take it. Just put a dollar on it. You take it.
That.
Yeah.
Plus 100,000.
You win a lot of money, and you risk
win 10,000.
Yeah.
Think that gets you $10,000.
Imagine what you can do with 10 grand. A lot.
That's rent. That's a lot of rent. That's a few rents.
That's so many rents and jerseys. That's how I look at it.
Though, but
that's rents and fullback jerseys right there.
Yeah.
All right. That's gonna do it here. The next time we see you, football will be done. Can't be sad yet though, because it's not. So we will be depressed on the next episode, talking about Big East basketball, talking about
not
who
football.
cares.
I know we'll talk about football. We'll talk about the game.
Well, yeah, you know what? We actually will be talking probably only about football on the next episode. So the episode after that will be really sad. But
we're going to talk about football forever.
I mean, the name of the podcast is a football name. So we hope you guys enjoyed the big game, obviously. We will catch you guys after to talk all about it. And peace.
Peace.